I think in this week's Torah portion, Chayeyi Sarah, what becomes clearest with Rabbi Eliyahu Benamozeg is he teaches us this very basic concept that if the Torah was given to us in antiquity, then you can't really understand the Torah if you don't grasp the ancient world. So for example, he says here, right, when Abraham comes to buy Me'arat HaMechpelah, then they call him this godly president, Nasi Elohim. And Benamozeg says, what's this? Why do the Hebronites call him Nasi Elohim? And he says this alludes to the earliest form of idolatry where you would idolize the fathers of a nation. And Abraham was such. In fact, we even know, he says, that Jacob doesn't want to be buried in Egypt. Why? Because he's worried that they'll turn him into a god. And in much the same way, Benamozeg says, or he questions, perhaps this is the reason why Moses, we don't know where he was buried, because had we known, we turn him into a god as well. In fact, there's a midrash that says, had we known where it was, we'd go build a mikdash there. So, and then Benamozeg says, we see, for example, there's the Greek god Serapis, which is a sort of confluence of Apis and Osiris, but Serapis is in fact, he says it's Sarve Apis, it's in fact like a relic of the name Joseph. And he goes on and says, for example, in India you have the Brahma, which is like Avraham, or Avram, which then becomes Brahma, which is Avraham. And then he even says, look, we even have a midrash that says, and this is the sort of genealogy of the heavens and earth that were created. And then it says, don't say Behi Baram, that were created, but rather say Be'avraham, within Abraham. And he says, what better proof do you want? Because we know, according to Kabbalah, that Abraham is the aspect of compassion, chesed, and that is what eventually was able to create this world. So he sort of concludes his vort by making you wonder whether he's just talking about a cultural phenomenon of people worshipping fatherly figures, like the sort of fathers of a nation, or in fact because he's saying the reason they do this is because actually chesed, the sphere, as the Kabbalists teach us, is what created the world, which is then symbolized in Abraham. So much to think about in the Torah portion of Chayeyi Sarah in general, how to read the Bible. Shabbat Shalom.